She's going to prison. Absolutely. It doesn't get any stronger than that. There's video evidence and there's a recording. Yeah, that woman's in big trouble.
Officials say Peyton Shires was arrested on October 6th in Franklin County, Ohio. This after the 13-year-old boy's mother approached Columbus police, saying she saw messages from Shires to her son. In the messages, Shires allegedly asked the boy whether his mother had seen any photos or videos or if they'd been deleted. Police later took a closer look at the boy's phone and allegedly found videos of Shires having intercourse with the boy and various other sex acts. Shires.
What's going on, man? So listen, this chick, Peyton Shires, 24-year-old licensed youth guide and counselor, sleeping with her 13-year-old male client. I'm glad that they caught her. But I personally think that they need to dig deeper into women and their interactions with young boys. I honestly do. And when you grow up seeing the way that women talk and the way women act in this country has a stereotype, even when it comes to our young men, that that needs to be addressed. I think that they do a pretty good job of addressing it with the women, with the male to female dynamic. I don't think that they do a good job with the female to male dynamic. There's a woman that I know that was a teacher in my middle school. She came to some parties. She had sex with some students, or that's what the rumors were. And she was still teaching. The rumors followed her to my high school because she got transferred to my high school, and apparently she had some more, sex with some high school students. So much so too, I heard some teachers, some older female teachers, saying that they can't stand her guts and they wanted to fight her because it was disgusting. She was there for 2 years. She wasn't there for the other 2 years, but I believe she's teaching somewhere else. Right? I have talked to men and men that I know that lost their virginity in their early teens to women that were in their upper 20s, lower 30s. I myself was exposed to somebody, that was, she was a high schooler and I was a fourth or fifth grader. You know what I'm saying? And I thought it was cool during the time because you hear guys talking about it, you hear the fellas talking about it. So yeah, so now I get to talk about something with them. But now that I'm grown, I'm like, yo, that was just as sick as they say that the men are sick. And the men that do these things are sick. And now it's like, yo, USA, let's catch up. These women sick too. And the systems that have been put in place for men not to do it, right, needs to be the same systems that need to be put in place for the women. Like, you guys hear me talking about social work at the men's shelter all the time. I've seen a lot of stuff happen. I will fight for men's rights, even when it seems like I'm being chauvinistic. I will express my views and share my experiences, whether people believe them or not, because I'm just one little part of the story of many stories. You know what I'm saying? So if you can connect my stories to other stories, well, then maybe you'll believe what I'm saying. But when I was doing male social work, and I've told you, I started out as a security guard. And while I was a security guard, I used to go to the men's in the women's shelter, but there was rules to being in the women's shelter, obviously. There were no rules for being in the men's shelter, not even for the women. So when the women would go upstairs to the dorms upstairs, they never announced that they were coming up. They didn't have to. And the men that were staying there used to get pissed off, like, yo, I'm walking around, hanging and slanging, and you just up there, yo. And that's a different conversation. But when I was at the women's homeless shelter, we would have to clear the floor from downstairs. And then we even had some women that wouldn't come downstairs, so we couldn't go upstairs. So they had time to, hide the drugs, because, sometimes they would have needles and stuff up there. And like, we're trying to get up there to search. And we would have this one company that also trained cop drug dogs come up there, and then they would sniff the men's shelter. Then we had to walk over to the women's shelter, and then we would have to wait for all the women to get cleared, and then are threatened, like, if you don't come out, then you won't be able to stay here. But sometimes they would have to be like the only one up there, and then the female supervisor of the women's homeless shelter would have to go up there with you if we had to carry them up out of there, right? But then when I started the actual social work part, there were very strict rules. Very strict rules. I had a cell phone that I could only use to contact people. Very, very minimum contact with the ladies in the female shelter. Like almost 0%. Like, even if I had an opportunity, I had to reach out to the manager over there with the female shelter to have her pass the opportunity along, if I found a job or a place to stay. But you had female social workers over the males. They didn't have to check with anybody. They could have conversations. Half of them use their own cell phones, use their own laptops. But when the men were doing it, we had very strict rules to deter anything happening between the men and the females that was there. And our cell phones and our laptops were, subject to get checked at any given time. And they didn't need to even be there physically to do it. Once you log on and you're on the network, as far as laptop goes, they could just check your emails, check your documents, all that, right? But those same practices were not in place for the women. Even in the home health care, you will see that if there's a female client, they won't hire a male client. Like, if she needs the extra help, like cleaning herself or catheterized or anything like that, you're not doing that. You're just not doing that. Even if you're certified, even if you're licensed, even if you've been through all of the training that the state requires, 9 times out of 10, except for if that company is really desperate, you're a male, you won't be there, even if there's an opening. On the flip side, if you're a female and a guy needs help cleaning himself and doing all that, and he's paralyzed and can't move his hands and he needs all the help that he needs, you're going to be hired. And there have been reports of women doing things to men as well. But the same checks and balances aren't in place. You know what I'm saying? So I just want them to begin to look into these things a little bit deeper. I just choose to believe that, yes, our young girls do need protection from the sicko guys that's out there. But I also believe that our young men need more protection. You know what I'm saying? Because this does affect them. You start a thirst in a young kid, and if it goes the wrong way, well, then guess what that could cause? That could cause sexual assault. That could cause fatherless homes. Not saying that that person is right because of the sexual assault. What I'm saying is that when you taint young brains, who knows what could happen? And there's a lot of bad happening in this world. And like I said in a previous video, we blame women a lot for what their mentality is. And if scientifically people say that most women stop growing once their first sexual contact, and then you learn to find out how these women have been molested as children. Yes, they're grown up now. They're in control of their own actions. But at sometimes the damage is done and it's deep. And I don't believe that damage can only be done to young women. You know what I'm saying? It can be done to young people. And then when they go out and they do crazy things and they're not responsible, and then you start asking why, sometimes I think that you're going to get led back to what happened to childhood. You know what I'm saying? So I could go on and on about this topic. I'm not. But let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Till next time. Go.